Facing an elimination game tonight at home against the Celtics. Not just an elimination game, a sweep. It seems like the Nets have been outclassed all series long, outcoached, outplayed. The Celtics have forced Kevin Durant to turn the ball over 17 times in 3 games, the most in his playoff career. He has only 2 more field goals than turnovers in this series. Meanwhile, Jason Tatum just keeps on shooting. Tim, is Tatum passing KD as the better player?
You can't go there yet, man, based on this series. Now, here's what I'll say about Jason Tatum.
Okay.
I said this going in. I think I said it on this show with you, Stephen A. I said going into this series, this is the biggest moment of Jason Tatum's career. Mm-hmm. Despite some of the deeper playoff runs he'd had coming in, mm-hmm. I said because before our eyes, he's turning into a superstar offensive talent, a guy that you could build an entire offense around, and there's no win for the defense in any situation with Jason Tatum. You couldn't say that before because his handle wasn't tight enough. You could force him to places on the court where he wasn't comfortable going. Once he tightened up his handle, created the separation he needs, there's no win now for the defense against Jason Tatum. And that, to me, sums up what those guys at the big table are like. Kevin Durant clearly has been there. So Tatum now has a seat at that table. But to sit there and say now that this is what Kevin Durant's going to be, like this isn't a candle that you just blow the flame out one day and it's gone. And now this is what Kevin Durant's reduced to. No, this is a horrible situation in Brooklyn with what that team has gone through this year. There's no question he looks gassed. He is being beat up by the best defense in the NBA. They've targeted him. He doesn't have enough help really to answer that, to take some of the pressure off of him. But this isn't who Kevin Durant is going to be going forward. So, listen, all I'm saying is Jason Tatum is here. Mm-hmm. He has arrived. We do not need to now, in the same sentence with his ascension, now reduce Kevin Durant. Yeah. Kevin Durant is still, to me, the guy, okay? Mm-hmm. But he's got to go back next year, and he's going to have to prove that again. But Jason Tatum is worthy of being in that sentence now. Mm-hmm. And prior to this season, and even prior really to this series, I don't know that you could have said that. Now it's a legitimate debate, and he deserves a seat with the great superstars in this game. There's no question about that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves on what Kevin Durant is going to be going forward based on what we're watching right now in this series. That is not fair to Kevin Durant.
I completely agree with you. Kevin Durant is a superstar. Kevin Durant came into this series, as far as I'm concerned, as the best player on the planet. We can't say that about him now. But it's not because of Jason Tatum. It's because of so many other things that ultimately will come to stain Kevin Durant to some degree. Now you got to look at Giannis. You got to look at Embiid. You got to look at a couple of other players and say, excuse me, you even have to look at LeBron, who's in just completed his 19th season and made his own mistakes in thinking that, you know what, he could pair with Russell Westbrook. And that's something that's going to stain him as well, which means that you don't need to have some of these players making some of these decisions because clearly they allow emotions to get in the way of their basketball brilliance in terms of their judgment. That's really what's going on with Kevin Durant right now. And Kevin Durant is going to suffer the consequences in this respect. We will not look at him the same because as this story continues to unfold, if they lose tonight, and I believe they will, this is not going to be the end. This is going to be the beginning of many storylines that are going to percolate. I believe this is going to cost Steve Nash his job. And I don't believe it's his fault, even though he had no experience, and I thought they needed a coach with experience, and you should be as an assistant coach at least before you become a head coach. I'm not going to blame Steve Nash for taking the job. I would have took the damn job. You would have took the damn job. I mean, come on now. We can't blame him for that. Kyrie wanted that. We don't need a coach. We really don't need a coach. Hey, what did you just finish telling me? Sometimes it's one of us coaching. I mean, he doesn't realize how that comes back to bite Steve Nash. But it also comes back to bite Kevin Durant. Because Kevin Durant, a good brother whose heart's in the right place, loves his brothers and does not betray them. And as a result, he stood by Kyrie, and Kyrie sold him out. Somebody's got to say it, damn it. He sold him out. You could talk all of this stuff that you want to. Kyrie puts Kyrie first. Kyrie is about Kyrie. And as a result, Kevin Durant, who should be a leader, followed this dude's lead. and it's taken him right down just like the Titanic. And now we're not talking about KD, the two-time champion. We're not talking about KD, the two-time NBA Finals MVP. We're going to be talking about KD, the dude who left Steph Curry to join Kyrie Irving. That's what we're going to talk about. And we know that Kyrie is on the same level as most of these guys because he's a superstar talent. But he doesn't have their discipline. He's not as accountable as my man Mike Wilbon would say as those guys. Jason Tatum, on the other hand, is a guy that should have been a Philadelphia 76er. They should have drafted him instead of Markelle Fultz. He should have been a Los Angeles Laker because Magic Johnson should have drafted him instead of Lonzo Ball. But he ended up a Boston Celtics. He's 24. He's been in the 2 conference finals already. And this dude is coming. I don't believe that he's Kevin Durant. I believe he's in a better system. He is being exceptionally well coached. We keep forgetting it wasn't like Brad Stevens couldn't coach. Now, he did take him to 2 conference finals. Brad Stevens does know basketball.
Wait. Hold that thought tonight. So you think the sweep happens tonight?
Yes.
What do you expect from KD?
I think KD is going to do everything that he can, but I think that at this point in time, I honestly don't know whether. I thought he would drop 40 in game 2, and I damn sure thought he would do something in game 3, and he was anemic in both games. They might try to figure out something. I think you'll see him be more aggressive tonight, but he's still not going to be as efficient. He'll end up with over 30. I don't know what the percentage shooting-wise would be, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think that, again, their season is over. I thought they would win this series in 7 games, but again, because of all the decisions that Kyrie instigated, this is what they are.
They'll hang early. Kevin Durant will put up a good stat line tonight, his best by far in this series. At some point, the Celtics will string together 5 or 6 stops, probably in the second quarter. They'll extend this thing out to 10-point lead, and then it will turn into 20 at some point in the third quarter. Because that team, the Brooklyn Nets, they do not have the collective, unified spirit to dig themselves out of adversity. They're going to see adversity, and they're going to collapse.
First thing we learned. And I've sat up here on national TV. I defended Kyrie on a multitude of occasions against Stephen A. Smith. Multitude. I can't defend these actions. I can't. First off, he should have started this whole comment off with, put it on me. Put it on me. Because I'm one of the reasons why that we have not gelled, that we have not formed chemistry by a decision ultimately that I made, that I still, as a fan, respect his decision, but there are repercussions for that decision that you have. That's number one. The lack of awareness, though, is what drives me crazy about this one. Because for me, frankly, this is something that all your teammates and you guys discuss internally. You don't express this externally to the public nor the media because you're giving them an extra incentivization to beat you down. We all know that you guys haven't been able to form gel or chemistry. James Harden is one of the reasons that he's no longer there is because of the decision that you decided to make. KD getting hurt is one of the reasons. Everybody knows this. And the thing is, contextually, too, the question wasn't about them gelling or them chemistry. The question was about, so people can have context, Blake Griffin saying that we don't have a spirit. So, Legs, you know this. Sometimes as a player, when you're in a locker room, you know what you're going to say before the question is even asked to you. So he almost went out of his way to talk about chemistry and this gelling. And that's the thing for Kyrie. I still think he's one of the most dynamic players the game has ever seen. But this lack of awareness is what allows people to attack him. And I want him to be better than that in that moment.
And I think all 3 of us are pretty much going to be on the same page with regard to this. And here's the problem with what Kyrie said. You don't say it right now. You're in the middle of this series. If anything, you reflect on this after the season, maybe next year, media day. Hey, what happened last year? Well, you know what? Some things happen and whatnot. 1. 2, after game 2, he actually talked about a little bit how Kevin Durant was struggling. You're 100% right. You don't even go there. KD's going to be okay, man. I haven't been good enough. I've got to be better, right? He got that in there to that soundbite we just played, but just kind of slipped it in at one point. Here's, to me, the bigger problem, and this actually is something that Adam Silver recently alluded to, and I've been screaming about this for several years. You cannot have an absolute lack of regard for priority of the regular season and think that you can, because you've got names at the top of your roster, roll it out when it's time. And how many times over the last 2 or 3 years have we said this sentence? Well, if they are healthy, talking about whoever, Lakers, Nets, pick your team, if they are healthy, because we're always trying to figure out what that's going to look like because we never get to see it. You cannot go about your business in the regular season the way that they just did and think you can then show up on April 15th against this team, this is a 90s-style defense that we're seeing out of the Boston Celtics with a superstar that has arrived offensively, and think you're going to be able to do it just because you've got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on your roster. That is, to me, the biggest issue with what we're watching right now. They thought they could do that. The Lakers thought they could do it last year. They got rolled by the Suns. Well, get 80 back. We'll be okay. Really? No, you're not. You're not coming out of 7th spot with the top of where these conferences look, and the Nets are running into that right now. So I think any way you slice it, it was inappropriate for him to even talk about that right now, and certainly did not have enough accountability, I think, on his own plate.
Y'all finished? Just wanted to make sure. Y'all got it out?
I'll wait.
Okay. Kyrie Irving, I want an ISO. Thank you. Kyrie Irving is one of the most selfish superstars that has ever existed in the NBA. He's all about himself. When you and I argued about Kyrie and the vaccine, one of the things that annoyed me about it is that Jay and I are boys. You understand? I love Jay Williams. And you had people actually out there thinking that we were somehow divided because we were disagreeing about Kyrie, because they were convoluting the issue. I wasn't talking about the vaccine. Who doesn't know? Listen, consult with your medical professionals and do what you think is best for your body, et cetera, et cetera. What I said was, when you are the reason a team is assembled in Brooklyn, as opposed to Madison Square Garden or another city, when you are the one that coaxed everybody into following your lead, and everybody shows up and they say, all right, man, we came together. This is about the chip. What I said was, because of what you did, you owe them to take the same risk everybody else took. That's my position. That's always been my position. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, I ain't trying to fight anybody, man. I'm not trying to get my behind whipped. But if we rolling together in the streets and something throw down, I ain't running.
I'm with you.
I'm with you. I know I'm about to go down. But I got to go down. Why? Because I can't leave. That's the brother that left. That's the brother that sat up there and said, y'all on your own. I'm doing me. And didn't give a damn. We look at KD. KD has been awful this series. We've never seen anything like it. Is anybody doubting that a part of the problem is exhaustion? KD last year in the last 2 games of the series, there were 101 minutes between regulation and overtime. KD played all 101 minutes. This season, when Kyrie was sitting at home chilling, or he was in Jersey, or he was talking about working out or whatever, who was on the court for them? Who was traveling? Road games, whole games. Who was holding it down? When James Harden had his hamstring injury and he was trying to come back from it and trying to get himself 100%, who was holding it down? Who was averaging 29 a game? Who was a candidate for league MVP? That was Kevin Durant. And so we're going to sit here today, and guess what we got to do? We got to talk about what we're not seeing from Kevin Durant. Recognizing the fact that fatigue may have played a role. He might have an injury for all we know, because he ain't going to tell us, because he ain't about the excuses. The point is, he's in the eye of the storm. Why? Because of that.